You check your phone. No one replied. Not one person. You tell yourself it doesn't matter. But some part of you, a part you can't quite name, is already bracing for the worst. That part of you is not being dramatic. It is doing exactly what it was built to do. Because for most of human history, being ignored wasn't just uncomfortable, it was a death sentence. Here's the strange part. Your brain still hasn't figured out that things have changed. Death was never the thing ancient humans feared most. Starvation, predators, disease, all of it mattered. But none of it came close to the one threat that shaped almost everything about how you think, how you love, and how you fall apart. That threat was exclusion, being cast out, being left behind by your own group. To understand why, you have to picture what it actually meant to be human 200,000 years ago. You didn't live alone, you couldn't. A lone human on the savannah, without a spear thrower, without fire, without a group to watch his back while he slept, lasted days, not years. Survival wasn't an individual project, it was a collective one. Food was shared, watch duty was shared, even body heat was shared. Your ancestors were, in the most literal sense, incapable of surviving alone. So when anthropologist Robin Dunbar studied primate social structures, and later human ones, he found something revealing. The size of a species' social group correlates directly with the size of its brain, specifically the neocortex. Bigger groups require more social tracking. Who owes who a favor? Who is trustworthy? Who might betray you? Dunbar proposed that human brains grew as large as they did largely to manage this social bookkeeping. Your intelligence, in other words, may not exist primarily to solve math problems or build tools. It may exist to keep you inside the group, which means something uncomfortable. If your brain evolved to track belonging above almost everything else, then losing belonging would register as an emergency, not a disappointment, an emergency. This is where the story gets stranger. In the early 2000s, social psychologist Naomi Eisenberger ran a series of experiments using something called the cyberball paradigm, developed by researcher Kipling Williams. Participants played a simple ball tossing game with two other players, believing they were real people online. In reality, the game was rigged. After a few throws, the other two players stopped passing the ball to the participant entirely. No explanation, no insult, just silence and exclusion. Here's what happened next. Eisenberger scanned participants' brains during this exclusion using fMRI. The region that lit up was the anterior cingulate cortex, the same region that activates during physical pain. Being frozen out of a simple game, one that participants knew wasn't even real, produced a neural signature nearly identical to being physically hurt. Think about that for a second. Your brain does not clearly distinguish between social rejection and bodily injury. To your nervous system, they are close cousins, maybe even the same threat wearing different clothes. Why would evolution build something so seemingly irrational? Because for most of human history, it wasn't irrational at all. If your ancestors were cast out of the group, exile wasn't just sad. It was functionally the same as a death sentence, just slower. No group meant no shared food during a bad hunting season. No group meant no one to warn you of a stalking predator. No group meant no mate, no offspring, no genetic future. Ostracism didn't just hurt, it ended bloodlines. So the humans who survived, the ones whose genes you're carrying right now, were disproportionately the ones who felt social pain intensely enough to avoid it at almost any cost. You are, quite literally, descended from the humans who could not tolerate being left out. This explains something that might otherwise seem baffling. Why does a rude comment from a stranger sting for hours? Why does watching two friends laugh at an inside joke you don't understand feel like a small betrayal? Why does being the last one picked, even as an adult, in some small unconscious way, still hurt? None of these moments threaten your actual survival. You will not starve because a coworker didn't invite you to lunch. But your ancient alarm system doesn't know that. It's still running software built for a world where exclusion meant extinction. Kipling Williams later expanded on this idea with what he called the need-threat model. Ostracism, he argued, threatens four core human needs at once: belonging, self-esteem, control, and a sense that your existence has meaning. When even one of these is threatened, distress follows almost instantly, often before you consciously register why you feel bad. Williams found this effect held true across dramatically different situations, from being excluded in an online game to being ignored by a stranger in a waiting room. The mechanism didn't care about context. It fired anyway. So what does this mean for you now, scrolling through a message thread where you're clearly being left out? It means your reaction isn't weakness, it's ancestry. You are running a survival algorithm that is thousands of generations old, applied to a world it was never designed for. Your ancestors' brains couldn't have imagined social media, read receipts, group chats you're not part of, or the specific agony of watching someone's typing indicator disappear without a reply. But the underlying alarm, the one screaming, "You are being left behind," is exactly the same one that once kept your ancestors alive. There's a twist here worth sitting with. This same fear that causes so much modern anxiety is also the reason you're capable of love, loyalty, and connection at all. The fear of losing the group is the flip side of the drive to belong to one. You don't get one without the other. Every act of kindness, every friendship you've protected, every time you've bitten your tongue to keep the peace, traces back to the same ancient machinery that dreads being cast out. Which is why, when ancient humans gathered around a fire at night, the greatest threat they discussed wasn't always the lion in the dark. Often it was each other. Whispered conversations about who might be quietly, socially, pushed toward the edges of the group. Anthropological studies of small-scale societies, including work compiled by researchers studying hunter-gatherer bands, have repeatedly found that gossip and reputation management consumed an enormous share of daily social life. Not because early humans were petty, because reputation was survival currency. Losing it was catastrophic. So the next time silence from someone feels unbearably loud, or a slight from a stranger lingers longer than it should, remember what's actually happening. You are not broken. You are not too sensitive. You are a descendant of the ones who couldn't afford to shrug off exclusion, because for them, exclusion meant the end. You check your phone again. Still no reply. But this time you understand the ache a little differently. It isn't proof that something is wrong with you. It's proof of exactly how you were built to survive.